Whether you're painting or staining, getting the prep right makes all the difference. I've pulled together the techniques I use across MDF, laminate, veneer, and solid wood to take the guesswork out of choosing the right products and prep for your project.
It's easy to overlook IKEA. The biggest issue is the surface, so let's start there. If you've ever worked with laminate or even thought about it, you're probably wondering, will paint actually stick to this? I wasn't convinced either until I found the right primer. But before that, prep still matters. First, I'm cleaning everything with my Fusion TSP alternative. And to give that primer something to really grip onto, I'm scuff sanding the surface with 220 grit sandpaper. With the scuff sanding done, I give everything a quick wipe down to get rid of the dust. Then I tape off any areas I don't want to get primer on, just to keep the edges nice and clean. Now I'm moving on to my bonding primer, and this is what makes all the difference. This sticks to everything, and it's the perfect primer to make sure that the paint sticks to this laminate surface.
Giving everything a good wipe down, a good clean with a degreaser, and this is what tells you what you're dealing with. So this is very clearly not wood. This is MDF. And scuff sanding is just roughing up the surface a little bit so that the new primer and paint will adhere properly. You can see very clearly the MDF coming through. And this type of wood, or this type of product, I guess I should say, is known to swell if it gets wet. So the best thing to do when you have something like this is seal it with a shellac-based primer. Just gonna line my tray, and this will make cleanup a lot easier. And I'm putting on some gloves because this shellac-based primer is very difficult to get off. It's pretty thick at the bottom here. So I'm gonna add some alcohol, and it's kind of lumpy, but we're gonna give it a go because this stuff is expensive. And again, I am doing this because I have exposed MDF on here. Now that the primer is dry, we're gonna give everything a quick sand with 220 grit sandpaper. Everything's actually nice and smooth. That worked out just fine. I don't actually anticipate any issues with the paint. With these teak veneers, the finish usually comes off fairly easily, so I only start with 120 grit sandpaper because I don't want to do any unnecessary damage. I decided to go in and use some acetone to see if I could remove a little bit more of this finish, because I just found that it wasn't actually coming off as easily or quickly as I normally find. Then I switched over to a different 120 grit sandpaper, something a little bit more expensive that I've found works really well. And I switched over to my Festool sander. This made a lot of progress. It really got down into the finish and removed it much better. I paused because I wanted to compare the two sanders here and the sandpaper. You can see how much better this left side is than the right side. So different sandpaper, different sander, absolutely made a difference for this particular project where I am sanding through a thin veneer and looking to go down to raw wood so that I can refinish it completely. I knew this top was going to take some time to get down to the bare wood, but pretty quickly I realized this finish was not coming off easily at all. I checked the back, and sure enough, it was veneer. Decent thickness, but veneer nonetheless, so I knew I had to be careful. Instead of fighting with the sandpaper, I grabbed my Carbide scraper. And that actually made a huge difference getting through the old finish without burning through the veneer. Because the Carbide scraper had done most of the heavy lifting, it didn't take me too long to sand the rest of the finish back with that same 120 grit mesh sandpaper. For the trim around the edges, I switched to a different scraper and used a few different blades to get into all those grooves and curves. Then I went back in with my orbital sander, this time using a foam backing pad and 180 grit sandpaper. I gave the top a wipe down with acetone. That cleared away any remaining dust and residue, and it also shows you exactly how the wood's going to look with a clear finish. And it makes scratches and swirl marks jump out. Sure enough, I spotted a scratch I hadn't noticed before. So I went back with my orbital sander and a bit of hand sanding to take it out. I then added a pre-stain conditioner, and finally, I was ready to add my dark, rich Kona stain.
You can see that that's one solid piece. I'm excited to see what we've got going on with this wood here.
I'm using Fusion TSP Alternative mixed up in a spray bottle to clean, and this gets rid of any grease and grime and furniture polish, which we don't want to grind into our wood when we're sanding. Okay, I know the sanding sequence is never all that exciting, but let's face it, it takes the most time when you're going down to raw wood. This is 80 grit. I'm hand sanding around the edges. Now I'm using acetone to remove a little bit more of that finish. Now I'm using 80 grit on the top. Then I'm moving to 120 grit, mesh this time. And finally, 180 grit sandpaper. And then everything gets one last hand sand with 180 grit sandpaper. This makes sure that there's no swirl marks and you have a nice, smooth, even finish. Okay, I made you watch 1 minute, but it was really more like at least 2 hours. Normally, when I seal wood before painting, I apply shellac with a roller, but this time I'm applying it with the spray shellac because I already have it on hand. And this actually works really well, especially getting into those little detailed areas. Cherry is notorious for bleed through, so sealing everything with shellac really helps lock that in before priming. Once the shellac dries, I lightly hand sand everything with 400 grit sandpaper and then wipe back all the dust. This helps knock down any high spots or small drips, which can happen more easily with spray applications. Once that's done, I move on to primer. In this case, I'm using a black primer. Now, you might be thinking, didn't she already prime with shellac? And the answer is yes. This additional primer isn't strictly necessary. But when you're painting darker colors, it can really help reduce the number of coats of paint that you need. So yesterday, I got really excited about a new paint stripper. And today, I decided I would see if it was really that good, or if I just don't use stripper very often, or if maybe it was the finish that made it come off better. So today what I'm going to do is I'm trying the new product again, this one, a tried and true product that a lot of people swear by, this one. And then on this drawer, I am going to use my sander, which is what I normally do. Don't normally strip, I normally sand. I'm going to do a time lapse and I'm going to put the stripper on, and then while the stripper is sitting, I am going to sand the other piece and we're going to see how it goes. We have our verdict. You saw the time lapse. I sanded this first one down. This is a 120 grit mesh piece of sandpaper, just my regular orbital sander. While I was waiting for the stripper to sit on both of those pieces, I actually went over to the top of the dresser that I'm doing and sanded half of it, which I will show shortly. And then I stripped this one back. This is the new stripper. And of the two strippers, this one definitely worked better. But similar to what I experienced on the top of my dresser, the edges didn't come off as well. And then On this one, you saw I covered it with saran wrap, which you're supposed to do. Left it even a little bit longer than that stripper, but similar. And that's what that one looks like. So I guess the part of the top coat came off, but it's still really quite sticky. I wiped them all down with mineral spirits when I was done. So what I'm thinking, because I'm still gonna have to sand this, is I'm just gonna go ahead and sand everything. Right here, we had a really big scratch. You can't really see it now, but a way to check to see if you have swirl marks or if you still have scratches that are gonna show is to use either water, mineral spirits, or acetone and wipe it on the finish, and it's gonna reveal what just a natural clear coat would look like over your wood. So, you see that? See how that scratch is still showing up? So I'm going to go back over this with 120 grit sandpaper, and I'm okay because this is solid wood, so I can keep sanding. I'm sanding now with 120 grit sandpaper, and then I do a test with the acetone again to see if I've actually removed the scratch. Because I haven't, I continue to sand. Once I'm confident that I've removed it, then I can go back in with the 180 grit sandpaper, both using the orbital, and then finally with the hand sand. This time I'm going to use some water because I'm putting a paint wash on here anyways. So you can see I got rid of it. There's no more scratch there, which is fantastic. So I've already done a stripper versus sander comparison, and there was no doubt that the sander won. Now I'm going to do an acetone versus sander comparison. And I've already done some of the drawers, and the acetone is working very well. But I found I was wasting a lot. So I purchased this that is suitable for acetone, and it's going to allow me to squeeze it out more directly and not have as much waste. This is actually the spot where we had quite a large chunk of veneer missing, so there's quite a bit of filler on there. This is that 2-part epoxy filler, so it is going to definitely take the sander to get that off. And I'm going to use 120 grit sanding mesh. So just going to grab that and protect my ears and my face again, and then we'll get going. These have already been cleaned with my Fusion TSP alternative. And the reason I'm using this is because you want the acetone to sit on the surface. And when you just put it on directly, it just evaporates so quickly. And so this allows it to sit there longer. So I would consider these at the same point. So this still needs to dry a little bit. They both have to be sanded to 180 grit now. And I did burn through the veneer a little bit down here where I was trying to sand off filler that I put in there. Around all of the edges, I have no sand through like I do on this one. So for this particular project, I feel like the acetone and then the sander with 180 is the right approach because I am going to be refinishing it all to its natural wood finish.
Old hardware holes still showing through your painted finish? I've filled a lot of hardware holes over the years and tried a lot of different products, and this process is the one that consistently leaves no trace of what was there before. First, I fill the holes with Bondo. Bondo is one of my favorite products for this because it dries quickly and sands really nicely. Once the Bondo has started to firm up but isn't completely dry, I scrape it back, and then I apply Famo wood filler over top. Once the wood filler is dry, I go back and sand the drawers smooth.
And for the final little imperfections, I use a bit of Bondo Spot Putty. Once that dries, I hand sand those spots smooth and wipe everything down so the surfaces are clean and ready for the next step. And sealing with shellac is actually the final step to these perfectly smooth filled hardware holes. I really hope this helped take some of the guesswork out of preparing furniture for paint and stain. Every project is a little different, but once you understand the material you're working with and choose the right products, the rest of the refinishing process becomes much more predictable. And if this kind of all-in-one guide was helpful, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.